Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, today's dialogue with Professor Jeffrey Sachs, titled ASEAN in the Midst of Shifting Global Order.
Welcome to Sunway City, Kuala Lumpur. Well, it gives me great pleasure to play host to the special dialogue with Professor Jeffrey Sachs, titled ASEAN Amidst the Shifting Global Order. Professor Sachs is chairman of the Jeffrey Sachs Center on Sustainable Development at Sunway University, as well as the Jeffrey Jala Honorary Professor at Sunway University. He is, of course, a tireless campaigner for the sustainability agenda. In his role as President of the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network, or UNSDSN. We are living in turbulent times, to say the least. We are now in an era where geopolitical tensions are perhaps at their highest level since the end of the Cold War. The 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Climate Agreement were supposed to put us back on the right track. But recent reports on both fronts indicate we are way off the track now. Ladies and gentlemen, the ASEAN Summit chaired by Malaysia begins next week. It is heartening to note that the agenda laid out by our Prime Minister, Dato Sri Dr. is built around a vision of shared progress. Our shared aspiration in ASEAN for a more inclusive, prosperous and sustainable future is a source of hope and positivity in these times of turmoil and turbulence. And like all of you here today, I very much look forward to hearing the views and insights that Professor Sachs has to offer as we navigate through the challenges that are confronting us today. Without further ado, Jeff, I hand the mic to you. Thank you.
Well, and so this upcoming summit is a very promising opportunity and a great tribute to Malaysia also as president of ASEAN. I'm sure that it's going to be a spectacular success in the coming week, and also the Malaysian presidency of ASEAN is going to be a spectacular success. There's a lot to do, and I'm convinced that ASEAN's going to do it. The problems cannot be solved at the national level anywhere. That's even true for giants. For India, they need hydropower coming from the Himalayas, from Nepal and Bhutan. China needs an interconnection of its grid with next door Mongolia and with Southeast Asia, in fact. The United States absolutely needs Canadian hydropower and Mexican solar power in order to be able to decarbonize the energy system. And for the 10 ASEAN countries, of course, not one reaches a scale that by itself could make this kind of transformation. So this is why the ASEAN Summit is so important, why Malaysia's presidency is so important, because regional groupings are no longer nice things to do, pleasant meetings to have with your neighbors. They are essential for success. We need governance at a regional scale. Diplomacy is the key, and diplomacy means talking. Japan and China and Korea should increase the diplomacy and not be divided by the United States. In 2,000 years, China never invaded Japan. Not once. Japan, unfortunately, tried to invade China a few times as two Confucian civilizations. They were at peace for most of 2 millennia, or it's sometimes called the Confucian peace, because there was a system, but it was basically a peaceful system of trade, some tribute which was symbolic, but completely peaceful. Then came the British, then came war, then came Japan's astoundingly successful economic development, starting with the Meiji Restoration, which started in 1868. Now, we're in 2025. It's time for Japan and China to say, we're together on this. We don't need American military bases. We don't need to be divided by outsiders. There's no reason. There's no threat. China's not going to invade Japan, period. There's just no threat. If you all get together, you absolutely will dominate the world economy. There won't even be a comparison. If you put together Japanese skill, Korean skill, Chinese skill, ASEAN skill, oh my God, no one could possibly compete. Diplomacy requires a table and 2 chairs. The military requires $1 trillion a year. Which do you think is the better deal? Asia has ended a long period of domination by Europe and by the United States of the world economy. And Asia has restored its place as the center of gravity of the world economy, the place that Asia has had for most of the last 2,000 years, actually, with the interruption of the period of the Industrial Revolution, which came first to Europe. It was the engine, if I could put it that way, of European imperialism, and roughly 250 years of European dominance, and that period is ending. And here, let me say a word in favor of Mr. Trump. He actually does not like war. This is the best news imaginable. Boy, does he like money. He likes big airplanes. He likes all sorts of things. He likes golf, as we were discussing, but he doesn't like war. He is not a warmonger. And he is making peace with President Putin. And he's being attacked for it in the United States. But he's doing absolutely the right thing. And he's making peace with Iran, except that everyone in the United States is yelling at him, don't do that. But his instinct is, yeah, make a deal. There might be some money in it. And that is actually good. So it's not all negative, even in that way. This president does not like war. As a factual matter, the highest economic return of investment in a society is education. This may sound surprising, but it's actually economically true. The finance minister should take special interest in investing in education. Of course, the problem is it's a little bit long-term, and the United States yesterday banished foreign students from Harvard University. That's not a joke. That's insane. It is self-destruction at a rate that is absolutely impossible to understand, other than in psychological terms. This is a backlash, a resentment, an aggression, an arrogance to destroy the core of your prosperity. And so, one thing I know, Sunway University welcomes foreign students. And it's going to pay off big time.
From a relatively young age, I adopted my conviction that every individual must have a higher purpose in life. And for me, that higher calling is a commitment to give back to society in a meaningful and impactful manner, and nation building through quality education and knowledge sharing. And to date, The foundation is the largest of its kind advancing education in Malaysia, awarding close to now more than 900 million ringgit in scholarship. And I'm confident that we will surpass 1 billion ringgit by next year.
Wow.
And in other words, the longer I live, the more I will give. In doing what we are doing, I hope the Sunway and the Jeffrey Cheah Foundation can inspire more organizations in the region to commit themselves to the sustainability agenda. This is much aligned to my personal motto, which is, I aspire to inspire before I expire. Jeffrey, as I have mentioned earlier, we are very grateful for the time you share with us. Even as you travel around the world for the greater good of humanity, I'm really concerned that the safety and security of you and your family. And on behalf of everyone here, I sincerely wish you a long and healthy life for all the work you are doing for our world.